here, almost to Soldier Meadows. It's like 120 miles, you know, from nowhere. And I've got to be honest, you know, driving out here solo with the dog, right? Part of your brain is telling you, oh, this is dumb, you know, I'm gonna have some big fiasco, something horrible is gonna happen, tra-la-la-la-la. At the end of the day, you just have to do it. You know, you have to, you know, and I will say one thing, right? And, you know, I don't want to jinx myself for the trip, but you have to have a good rig, number one. Good tires, well maintained, you know, make sure that everything's checked out before you go on your trip. I mean, even for this trip, I took it to Schaefer Off-Road just to have them, you know, go through everything, you know, second set of eyes, make sure, you know, my torque settings were fine, you know, I had done everything correctly. It's kind of crazy. It's like we want to go out, you know, and we want to experience nature, and we want to enjoy our rigs, right? And I'm just speaking for myself, right? Getting out in nature, you know, poking around in the wilderness, looking for cool and interesting rocks and enjoying the beauty, the natural beauty, right? So nice to feel, I want to use the word empowered, that you can go out on your own, right? And I've done some solo trips, right? And I think Black Rock, this trip is probably, at least for me, maybe one of the bigger ones, because it is so remote, right? And it really kind of gets you, you know, off the grid, right? So anyway, it's okay to feel all those feelings that you're feeling, right? You're nervous, you know, something's gonna break, I'm gonna be stuck, it's gonna be a big fiasco. Everybody's gonna tell you, well, we told you not to do it. You know what? Screw that. Get out there, enjoy your rig, enjoy the places you want to see, and let's see how this weekend goes. See you after we get camp set up. Right, so here's karma biting me in the butt. I just did that little blurb, right? And then I'm like trying to follow my map. I've got Gale, all kinds of stuff, right? And you're out in the middle of nowhere, right? And suddenly I'm like, I don't know where I'm going. I don't know where, you know, where am I camping? So anyway, you know, just, you know, be cool, honey bunny. And, you know, just go with the flow. Let things sort themselves out. I think I'm going in the right directions. We'll find out. And if not, it's gorgeous out here, and I'll find somewhere to camp. All right, talk to you guys at o'clock. And the wind kicked up, and there's just batten down the hatches, batten down the hatches on everything outside, so stuff doesn't blow away, and my stuff hopefully stays dry in case it does rain. It does look like it's going to. Part of this experience, or part of what I'm balancing or learning how to manage, I love to go exploring. I love to go out in the middle of nowhere, you know, where there's not a lot of people, you know, there isn't trash all over the place, and just poke around in the rocks and look at the scenery and look at the flowers. Imagine what, you know, it was 500 years ago, 100 years ago, 5 million years ago, right? And just, you know, kind of submerge myself in the environment. But to do that, you really need to go to places that are really off the map. And I will be honest, Black Rock, you know, you go to Death Valley and that seems pretty far off the map. Black Rock, without the Death Valley name, you know, is really, I mean, there's nothing this way, that way, the other way. Looking at it on the map, right? And it is really remote, but it's also very pretty, right? So coming out here, you know, solo, and I'm gonna say solo, so I'm in Soldier Meadows, and right now there are 2 other campers or rigs. There's an RV down in one of the campsites, and then on the other side, right? And then I was thinking about the trip that I had taken with my husband to Death Valley, and I didn't have any, you know, I was like a little nervous because we have a super aggressive dog, and my husband, you know, wasn't feeling 100%. So I was like, man, if something happens, it's kind of all on me. But I wasn't worried about it, right? But being solo by myself, without my husband here, I'm a little bit more nervous to like go exploring, right? It's all the what ifs, right? Well, what if this happens? And what if that happens? And, you know, tra-la-la. And it's not so much, and I think maybe part of it also is you just being by yourself and being alone with your thoughts and your feelings and, you know, regrets and that kind of stuff, right? And just kind of coming to terms with it and saying, you know what, I want to be a better person. I want to spread joy and happiness in the world, right? So what do I need to change, or how do I give myself a hug and say, you know what, it's okay, now let go be, right, for the rest of the humans on the planet, right? So it's just kind of a weird thing. But I have noticed that on this trip I'm a little, I don't know if I want to go down that road or this or that, right? And I have the mental skills that I'm not going to put myself at risk, or and the truck's in good servicing order. So you know what? I've got to kind of try to find a balance. And I'm sure the same thing's true for you, right? You want to go explore and you want to go out in the wild, but you're thinking to yourself, you know what? If I do it, this horrible thing's gonna happen to me, and that was why everybody told me not to do it. And you know what? That does happen to people, right? They, I want to learn how to ski, and then they break their leg, knock on wood, right? Or you know what? I want to learn how to mountain bike, and then they have a big wreck and break their collarbone. And then they're like, oh, well, I'm never gonna do anything again, right? To screw that, because, and then I'm gonna prove all these people wrong, and then it's a really big shot to my ego and everything else. And you know what I say to that? Screw it. Get out there. Just like me, I watch this show called Time Team all the time, right? And they talk about going from the known to the unknown. And I think that's what we need to do too, as overlanders, or if you're into kind of my kind of vibe, which is, getting out, and I'm not saying I don't like to be with people. I do. I love people. People are great, right? I'm not like, that person. And then once I get there, maybe I'll go a little farther, or maybe I'll come back to the safe space, right? So that's what I'm going to recommend to you, or that's going to be my challenge to you, right? Is if you are in, and listen, I can do some mechanicking, I can change a tire, I can, cobble together something, if like one of the stupid control arms comes off or some bullshit like that, I can kind of figure it out and hobble my way somewhere, right? Starlink, I've got my Garmin, so I can get in touch with people. Like, I'm not completely off the grid, and hey, high five to you if you're like, you go out in the wild with a couple pigeons, and write your little notes. Hello. But honestly, that's my challenge to you, is if you want to go and you're like, oh, my buddies don't want to go, or my girlfriends don't want to go, then go somewhere safe that you feel safe, right? And go from the known to the unknown, just a little bit, and then go back to the known, and then go a little bit more, and then back to the known. So my challenge to me is also my challenge to you. So get out there, explore more. Let's see how the rest of this trip goes, and talk to you in a minute. Hey, guess what? It's raining again. Pretty much rained the entire trip. And which I'm not, rain is cool. I like it, and the thunder is cool. But once again, it's raining. So here we are back under the tarp. And if you do not have one of these, I recommend getting it. Let me just kind of pan around. This is a cheap one. It's made by Kelty. And it goes on the back and hooks to the tires. But it's been a game changer, especially with the rain. So anyway, it's raining again. All in all, it was an epic trip. I spent a total of 3 days out in Soldier Meadows, hiking around, enjoying the hot springs, and really just immersing myself in the environment. One key takeaway, though, is on the last night, I accidentally caught my key fob in the the rear hatch, and had a small panic attack because I realized if I had destroyed my key fob or lost it or some other horrible thing, that was pretty much a game changer. So my recommendation to you is for sure keep your key fobs. If you don't have a mechanical key, your electric key, keep those safe. And the one thing I'm doing now post-trip is getting a spare, just in case something like that happens. But otherwise, it was a beautiful trip. I highly recommend, if you get the opportunity, to get out to Soldier Meadows and explore High Rock Canyon. And until next time, I'll see you down the trail.